Israel is notorious for arresting human rights activists in order to prevent the truth about its treatment of the Palestinians from getting out. And this seems to have been the motivation behind the arrest of Sara Ali, a Canadian human rights activist who was brutally manhandled and arrested by Israeli forces this week. Critics observe that most Canadian journalists and politicians appear to be forbidden from criticizing the Israeli regime. As a result, when Israel's security forces target Canadian citizens, they cannot rely on Canadian authorities to pressure Israel to treat them humanely.
I heard her saying, I am a Canadian citizen, you can't do this to me. They didn't care, the soldiers. Even they beat her up more. I heard her telling them that stop, please. I heard her saying, please help me. And I heard her shouting and yelling that she was attacked by the soldiers. But unfortunately, she didn't get any help from the Canadian government or the Canadian embassy or consulate. It seems that they didn't care about her. It seems that they don't respect their own people. They're afraid of Israel.
Israel has no lawful jurisdiction over the occupied Palestinian territories, which it seized in 1967. But this didn't prevent Israel essentially kidnapping Sara Ali and deporting her back to Canada against the wishes of her Palestinian hosts.
A couple of years back, Stephen Harper made an unequivocal statement of support for Israel. He said as long as he is the Prime Minister of Canada, that our government will support, to paraphrase, they will support Israel come what may. So we basically have Zionists occupying our government here in Canada.
The Harper government is constantly lecturing Israel's adversaries in the Middle East on respecting the human rights of protesters and human rights advocates. However, Canada's government has remained conspicuously silent when it comes to the well-documented mistreatment of human rights activists by Israel. Critics say that Israel wants to deter human rights observers from visiting the occupied Palestinian territories so they can expedite their genocide against the Palestinians without public consciousness. Joshua Blakeney, Press TV, Calgary.